Welcome to the final part of Mega Man X3. And here's where things would be a little different. If we didn't defeat Vile here, this whole place would be completely destroyed. Like, literally destroyed. And we wouldn't be fighting these robots here. Because for some reason, Vile got super ticked off, I guess, that you never actually fought him. Or that you didn't kill him the right way or something, I don't know. But since we did defeat Vile, we're going to be facing some different bosses and different enemies too. These robots here wouldn't be here if I defeated Vile. And they're annoying because you think you defeat them, but you actually have to blow them up twice. So it's kind of annoying. I mean, you can dash past them when they're blowing up, but eh. In the last video, I also got the golden armor. I mentioned how the golden armor works. It gives you the ability of all four enhancement chips. So if you really want to, you can just stand still and just heal yourself. And there's a specific reason why I'm picking the water armor here. But as you will find out in a few seconds, I hardly ever use this item. I hardly ever use this mech, so I don't know exactly how it works. It's supposed to be able to let you move better underwater, but I never understood how it worked. You also shoot torpedoes and stuff, but I'm just like, forget it. You don't need it, even though it's flooded in this stage now. You can just kind of jump through everything. It's much easier that way. There we go. Now here, you're going to want to switch over to 0. If you don't, then all this work will be for nothing. The game does not automatically switch you over to 0 at this point. At least I don't think it does. If it does, then hey, I'm wrong. But hey, switch over to 0. As you can remember, 0 has 2 shots. 0 has 3 charge shots. So he's got 2 charge shots and a saber swipe. So come in here, and you'll be fighting a mini-boss. And you're going to want to make sure that 0 stays alive. I got cocky here and almost lost. But if you destroy this robot, he's not too hard. I just kind of got stupid and took too many unnecessary hits. But if you just... Ow. If you do destroy this robot as 0... he falls on top of him and explodes, nearly killing 0. And then this happens. Zero, you really need to get a better power generator. This is the second time it's been destroyed. But for doing this, you get the beam saber, which is this game's super weapon. So now that we have the beam saber, if you fully charge up, you'll go red and then green. So you got 2 charge shots and then boom. And much like the Hadouken and the Shoryuken, that can 2-shot a single. It's more like the Hadouken. It's more like the Shoryuken. It typically kills everything in 1 to 2 shots, including bosses and including Final Form Sigma. But this guy was a jerk and decided to jump over it, so I couldn't show that off. Oh well. But yeah, unlike the first 2 games where you have to do freaking fighting game inputs. No, all you have to do is hold down the charge button long enough. Also, as I mentioned before, you can sit here and use the golden armor to fully charge up your life, as well as charge up your sub-tanks. I would recommend against the sub-tank one, though, because that just takes forever. And also, I think to balance out how overpowered the Z-Saber is, if you take a hit while you're fully charged with the Z-Saber, you lose the Z-Saber charge. You don't lose the X-Buster charges, but you do lose the Z-Saber charge. But you also get the Supercharge Blast with the golden armor, which basically makes you a god for like 6 hits. But now we gotta sit here on this really slow-moving snail. This is the worst part of the level. And I don't have much to say about it. You just have to stand on this thing and shoot at stuff as it flies down, and then you jump over to another one. Eventually it's gonna trick you into making you ride up one when there's another one that you have to ride up on that's on a taller wall, but that's about it. And since I have the golden armor, I can speed through this a lot faster since I have the double air dash, if I wanted to. But unfortunately, even with the double air dash, it does take a little bit of time. The upside to it is you can see here, yeah, that's a trick. Being able to double dash upward lets you see further ahead, which is good. There we go. And now we're finally done here. Hey! Sorry for like the minute and a half of nothing to really talk. Sorry for like the minute of nothing to talk about there. It just there's not much going on in that section. Now, if you were to still fight Vile, you would go to the next room over, but instead, since Vile's already been defeated, we have this mini-boss, or this boss here. He shoots missiles at you, and he also throws scythe blades at you. As you can see, like I said, if you take damage while you're fully charged, you will lose your charge slash, but there. If you use the Z-Saber as a swipe, the slash will go through and it'll hit multiple times, but if you hit someone directly with the Z-Saber, it takes the full amount of damage, which both of them basically two-shot every single enemy in the game. This is actually one of the first times of me actually doing this. I've never actually tried to get the Z-Saber before because I like saving Zero and having the canon ending of Zero being alive, but oh well, I figured I'd show off the Z-Saber in this run. But there's still one more thing we have to do. Just like in every Mega Man game, there has to be a boss rush. I mean, I could sit here and fully charge up my last sub-tank using the Golden Armor's auto recover, but no, that would take forever. No, instead we have the boss rush. So, I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna go silent, enjoy the music that I chose to do this with. Oh, also that you can use that to get life energy. Enjoy! That was a long boss rush. But yeah, as you've noticed, using the Z-Saber makes things go by much quicker. But we're not entirely done just yet. We still have Dr. Doppler and Sigma to stop. Hope you enjoyed that boss rush music. That was the Maverick Revolution, which is a remix of X vs. Zero fight from X5 and X6. I may have used that once before, but I don't really mind too much, because I love that song. Anyway, let's go take on Dr. Doppler. So it's an old man. Oh god. So this is Dr. Doppler. What he does is he shoots these energy orbs at you, and then dashes at you. That's all he does. However, if you try to shoot him while he's standing still, he'll put up this green barrier. If you hit him when he puts that barrier up, he will absorb your damage and heal himself. That's pretty much it. And since I have the Z-Saber, he goes down like nothing. That's literally all he does. He'll shoot fireballs at you, try to absorb your damage, and then he'll dash at you. If you don't have the Z-Saber, then he's weak to the acid burst. And now we've got plot reveal. Sigma's true form is actually a computer virus. And that's literally the only main plot that comes out of this. And that's a pretty big reveal. I mean, a lot of people mention that nothing happens plot-wise in this game. That's a pretty big plot reveal to show off that Sigma is officially no longer a robot, but a computer virus. And that's how he's able to constantly come back. He infected Dr. Doppler and forced him to make a new body for him. So now we have to go and destroy his third body before Sigma occupies it. But how do you destroy a computer virus? I guess we gotta get, like, a firewall or something, or... What kind of antivirus can we use? Like Avast, I guess? Avast sucks, but whatever. So we need to get a new firewall. Yeah, whatever. So Sigma is back, and he keeps coming back because he's a computer virus. I think that's a better excuse as to how he keeps coming back than just having Dr. Wily. Like, I love the classic series, don't get me wrong, but Dr. Wily either just escaping because Megaman is not smart enough to arrest him, or he finally does arrest him and he just breaks out of jail again. It's just like, okay, how many times can he use that? At least with this, it's a clever excuse as to why he keeps coming back. Now, if Zero were still alive, he would break through that wall and he'd do what he always says, I'm going to go and destroy the main computer while you go fight Sigma. But since Zero is damaged, he's not going to do that. It doesn't matter. Let's go fight Sigma, who's cosplaying as Captain America this time instead of Wolverine, I guess. He's a... Capcom are Marvel fanboys, what can I say? I mean, look at all the Marvel vs. Capcom games they've made. So Sigma, he's a lot harder than he was in X2. I mean, a lot harder. He has these fireballs. I mean, I'm making him look easy because I got the Z-Saber, but he's He's not nearly as easy as he was in X2. When he gets about half dead, he's gonna start throwing his shield, a la Captain America. And that's basically all he'll do. Is like he'll jump and then he'll shoot fireballs and then he'll throw his shield, and then if he has even less HP, his shield will bounce around the room a little bit more for a few extra seconds. If you don't have the beam saber, his weakness is the spinning blade, I think. But now, probably the hardest final boss in the X series, in my opinion, even if you have the Z-Saber, this is the battle body that Doppler created for him. Holy crap, what is this thing? But if you have the golden armor, you also have the hypercharge, so the only way you can damage him is by shooting him in the exhaust port on top of the battle body there. It's only his head flashing, yes, but you actually have to aim for the exhaust port, otherwise you're not actually going to damage... Like the two pipes behind his neck there, that's what you have to aim for. That's what throws a lot of people off. It's mainly just because his head is what's flashing that makes people think that you have to aim at the head. But, yeah. And this is all he'll do. He'll fly back and forth, dropping bombs at you. If you're behind him, he'll shoot missiles. And then when he comes back, he's going to shoot his giant laser at you. If his laser's pointing at the ground, that gives you a lot more chances to hit his head. Unless you're me and you completely whiff. Oops. And he has no weapon weaknesses. You have to use the X-Buster on him. That's another thing that makes people think he's a little bit harder than usual. And this, I will admit, is probably the hardest form of Sigma in the entire series. Sort of. I would say he's probably harder in X5, but there we go. If you get the timing right with the beam saber, you can still take him out in 2 shots. It's just that because the hitbox on him is so weird, it's hard to aim exactly where he's supposed to get hit. So just like the Shoryuken, you can kill him in 1 or 2 shots if you get that off. But now Sigma, without a body, is finally doing what he probably should have done in X2. He's now going to try and take over X. The stage is not over yet, because now we have to climb out of Doppler's lab while it's on fire! Thankfully, the lava is not an instant kill if you fall into it, but still, this is a little much. If you don't have the double air dash, it takes a while to get up here, and Sigma does try to push you down into the lava. But with that, we have beaten the game. And there's your obligatory one swear of the game that X has to have, I guess. Now here's the only major difference, is if you didn't get the Z-Saber and Zero survived, Zero would come in and stop Sigma here. Since Zero is damaged, it's going to be Dr. Doppler instead. As far as I know, this is the more... As far as I'm aware, the Zero ending is what's canon. So Doppler has an anti-Sigma virus program, and if Zero's still around, he puts the vaccine in Zero's saber, and that's how Zero defeats him. Either way, Sigma's program is getting erased. But if you have Zero defeat him, he does add that he will return someday, because of course he will. No antivirus is going to keep Sigma down for long. But this is not considered the canon ending because Zero, while not completely destroyed, is not in the ending, and Doppler is dead, so that can't really be the good ending now, can it? Even though the Z-Saber is the greatest weapon ever. But here we go for a third time, reusing basically the same ending from X1 again, which a lot of people bring up as... which a lot of people are often quick to criticize, and I can't really blame them for that. But I don't mind. I mean, X is supposed to be different from Classic, so him questioning how long war is going to go on and stuff is kind of in his character. But this is the last point in where this is the game where the plot really kind of takes off for the remainder of the franchise. At least for the remainder of what Inafune intended to be the end of the franchise. There was only supposed to be 2 more games after this. But due to money, it kept going. And, well, certain games are good, other games, not so much. But we'll get to them when we get to them. But apparently, to save mankind, X must destroy Zero. There's really been no real explanation as to why. But outside, well, that's not true. Sigma did hint at the end of X2 that Zero was destined to follow him in his quest to take over humanity and stuff. But we don't exactly understand why that is. And aside from that one throwaway sentence, we still don't exactly understand why, because they didn't do anything with that plot in this game. They spent this game focusing on what Sigma became and why he constantly comes back, which is something I think people kind of miss when they bring up X3. There are people that like X3. I'm one of them. It's not perfect, but I like it. But a lot of people have complaints about the story going nowhere and how it has nothing to do with the plot. I'd say about 90% of it has nothing to do with the plot, but considering this is the game that explains what Sigma is and officially hints as to what Zero is, I like it. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty much the same as X1 and 2. I still think that it's not as big of a jump between X1 and X2, I would say. It's pretty much the same as X2 was. It's not bad, but they didn't change too much from X2. I would play X1 and 2 over this any day. It's not a bad game, but X1 and 2 are better. And that's pretty much all I have to say on it. It's not the worst game ever. That award goes to X6. Fight me on that if you think I'm wrong. But yeah, X3, while it's the most backtrack... Well, it's not the most backtrack heavy. That award goes to X5. Oh man, X5. I am not looking forward to how often I have to backtrack in that game. Jesus. But I guess this is kind of the point where this game came out at the end of this Super Nintendo's life cycle, which it kind of shows. Like, this game, since it got ported to the PS1, you could tell they could have pretty much put this on the PS1 from the start, and I don't think anyone would have complained about it too much. But other than that, I'd say it's average. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. I would recommend you do play it, though, because it is a fun game, despite having weird things about it. If you're wondering what God Car Machine No Mary is, that's what Bit and Byte would morph into if you didn't destroy them. They just didn't have an image of them for this. This also, like I said, this has a different ending credits theme than the Super Nintendo version did. If you want to play the Super Nintendo version, the Mega Man X collection is coming out for Switch and PS4 soon. And as far as I know, X3 is gonna the version of X3 that's gonna be on that is gonna be the Super Nintendo version. I think. Don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's the Super Nintendo version. But that's it for X3. I'd give it probably a 7.5 out of 10 if I were to rate it. Mostly due to the backtracking. Even if you know what you're doing, it does take a while. But it's a fun game, and I didn't mind playing through it again for this Let's Play. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And so I am Sire Goku, and I will be back with another Let's Play soon. It may be Mega Man X4. I haven't decided on that quite yet. But I will be back with another Let's Play in the future. See you guys then.